December 20th, 1941. Clark Field, the Philippines. Engines cough to life under a bruised dawn. The metallic whine of 4 Wright Cyclone R-1820 engines rises as a crew of 10 men scramble aboard a B-17C Flying Fortress, its olive-drab skin glinting faintly in the humid air. Lieutenant Frank Kurtz, the pilot, wipes condensation off his goggles. He looks west, toward the dark horizon where Japan's rising sun has already brought war. To the Japanese command, this lumbering aircraft was a joke. Reports from the Sino-Japanese front called it slow, unsuitable, a paper giant. Officers at the Imperial Japanese Army Air Force headquarters in Tokyo mocked the Americans' reliance on flying fortresses, a boast that, to them, seemed as naive as it was arrogant. "No fortress can fly," one colonel scoffed in 1940, "and no fortress can escape our Zero." But now, as the first B-17 squadrons struggle to hold the line after Pearl Harbor, that mockery is about to be tested in fire. At Clark Field, anti-aircraft sirens begin to wail. A few men glance skyward and freeze. Dozens of A-6M. 2 Zeros scream out of the morning Sunday. In seconds, the airfield is a cauldron. Bombs shred the runway. Flames lick the wings of grounded aircraft. Kurtz's crew hauls the fortress into the air under enemy fire bullets stitching across its tail. From the ground, a Japanese pilot laughs over the radio. "The fortress is flying away. Let's see how well it defends." Oh, 3 Zeros peel off, chasing. The B-17 lumbers toward cloud cover, its machine guns barking. 1 Zero arcs in from below and bursts into flame. Another rakes the fuselage, shattering a waist gunner's glass, but the fortress refuses to fall. The chase lasts 8 minutes before the Japanese pilots break off. Above the clouds, the crew exhales. Smoke trails behind them, but the flying fortress lives up to its name. That day, out of 8 B-17 seconds at Clark, only 3 survive. But those 3 deliver messages that will ripple through the Pacific. The slow fortress, the machine Japan laughed at, had survived direct Zero attacks and struck back. Far to the north, in Tokyo's war rooms, that fact does not go unnoticed. Section 2. The Reckoning over the Solomons. August 7th, 1942. Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. The air hums with tension. It's just past dawn when Captain J. Zima Jr. adjusts the trim of his patched-up B-17E, nicknamed Lucy. Below, the steaming jungles of the Solomons hide Japanese convoys, threading through narrow channels. Above, the sky is a bleached canvas, perfect bombing weather. The crew knows what's coming. The Japanese naval guns on Rabaul have been shelling the Marines on Guadalcanal for days. High Command needs eyes on those ships. Zima's mission: photograph the convoy, then if possible hit the lead transport before it reaches Tulagi. As Lucy climbs to 25,000 feet, the chatter over the intercom tightens into silence. The fortress trembles under the weight of the Pacific wind. Navigator John Britton glances at the bombs, 6 500-pounders, their yellow noses catching the light, and mutters, "Slow and vulnerable, huh? Let's see them laugh now." Minutes later, black specks appear in the distance. Mitsubishi A-6M0s, a dozen at least, rising fast from the east. "Here they come!" yells tail gunner Sergeant Joseph Sarnowski. The fortress braces for impact. The first Zero slashes across the nose, guns blazing. Shards of plexiglass rain over Zima's face. Britain's maps scatter like confetti. But Lucy holds her course. Machine guns thunder from every window. 50 caliber tracers arc through the air, cutting one fighter in half. For 40 minutes, Lucy fights alone. The air fills with the smell of cordite and burning fuel. Sarnowski, bleeding from a chest wound, keeps firing until his gun jams, then collapses beside it. Zima, his leg shredded, refuses to turn back. "We're finishing the run." He grits out through bloodied teeth. The bomb doors open. 6 steel hearts drop toward the convoy below. The explosions ripple through the bay, scattering ships like startled fish. Smoke mushrooms into the sky. From their cockpits, Japanese pilots radio back, "Enemy bomber destroyed." But the flying fortress doesn't fall. It limps home, smoking, bleeding but alive. That engagement changes everything. Intercepted Japanese transmissions begin to refer to the B-17 not with mockery, but with caution. Beware the fortress. It fights like 10 planes. At Rabaul, Japanese engineers start requesting heavier armament for interceptors. Commanders realize their Zero, built for agility, cannot match the fortress's firepower or altitude. The Imperial Navy had once thought the sky was theirs. The B-17 was rewriting that belief one mission at a time. For the Americans, these brutal air duels over the Solomons are more than just reconnaissance. They are a rehearsal for the coming storm that will one day reach Tokyo itself. Section 3. Fire from the Future, the Coming of the Superfortress. November 24, 1944, Saipan, Mariana Islands. The island still smells of cordite and coral dust. Bulldozers rumble across what was once a Japanese outpost, now transformed into an airfield the size of a small city. Lined along the tarmac are machines unlike any the Pacific has ever seen. Boeing B-29 Superfortresses. Their silver skins shimmer under the island sun, each one dwarfing the old B-17 seconds that came before them. Colonel Emmett, Rosie, O'Donnell Jr. stands at the edge of the runway, flight gloves in hand. Behind him, ground crews swarm like ants, loading bombs the size of oil drums into cavernous bays. This morning, he will lead the first raid on Tokyo since Doolittle's daring strike 2 years earlier. But this time, they're not here for symbolism, they're here for devastation. Engines roar 4 Wright R-3000, 350 duplex Cyclones per bomber, each capable of pushing the 100,000-pound giant to 350 miles per hour. Like flying a battleship, one pilot jokes grimly. The men climb aboard, their flight suits stiff with salt sweat and nerves. At 1 p.m., the formation begins to roll. One by one, 88 B-29 seconds claw their way into the Pacific sky. High above the endless ocean, the temperature drops. The island vanishes behind them. All that lies ahead is open water and Japan. For 7 hours, the crews fly in silence, oxygen masks hissing, frost creeping across the windows. Then, just before dusk, someone spots the dark smear of Honshu on the horizon. Tokyo. The Japanese radar operators barely believe their screens. "No, impossible," one whispers. The range is too far over 1,500 miles from the Marianas. They scramble the few remaining interceptors they can, key 44 seconds and key 84 seconds that struggle to climb to the B-29 seconds altitude. Anti-aircraft guns open fire blindly into the clouds. From 30,000 feet, O'Donnell peers through the bomb site. Below him, Tokyo's Nakajima aircraft factory sprawls like a steel spiderweb. Bombs away. The first wave hits seconds later. The ground erupts in geysers of fire and debris. The precision instruments of the Norden bomb site make every drop count. In the span of minutes, entire blocks vanish. The Japanese command, watching from distant bunkers, is stunned. Their capital untouched since the Doolittle raid is burning again, this time under sustained assault. In one of the command rooms, Lieutenant General Kiyoshi Kawashima slams his fist on the table. "They can reach us from the Marianas?" Silence. The officers exchange glances. No one dares speak the truth. Japan's defensive perimeter, the Empire's proud outer ring, has been breached. For weeks afterward, the raids continue. Day after day, waves of B-29 seconds cross the Pacific. The once invincible homeland airspace becomes a killing field of fire and smoke. Civilians huddle in tunnels. Anti-aircraft gunners fire at shadows. The mockery of the flying fortress is long gone. Now, the Japanese military whispers a new word, chokoki, the superfortress. And even among the proudest officers, the laughter has turned to fear. Section 4. Inferno over Tokyo. March 9th, 1945, 12:08 a.m., Tokyo, Japan. The night is thick and windless, perfect for what Major General Curtis LeMay calls maximum effect. At 7 p.m. the previous evening, 334 B-29 Superfortresses had lifted off from bases in Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. Their bomb bays held not high explosives, but something far deadlier, napalm-filled incendiaries, M69 seconds designed to turn wooden cities into kindling. At 8,000 feet, far lower than usual, the first wave crosses Tokyo Bay. The moonlight catches the underbellies of the bombers as they approach the eastern wards. The lead plane, call sign Z-8, drops magnesium markers that blossom into eerie white stars above the rooftops. The city below blinks, then bursts into flame. Within minutes, the second wave arrives. Each superfortress disgorges clusters of incendiaries that tumble through the night, their tails spinning, fuses hissing. When they strike, the bombs scatter flaming jelly across tatami mats, paper walls, and bamboo beams. The fire starts as scattered embers, then the wind shifts and Tokyo ignites. From 5,000 feet, the B-29 crews watch in stunned silence as the city becomes a living inferno. The flames feed on oxygen, merging into a swirling cyclone that rises 2 miles into the air. Pilots can feel the heat through their cockpits. Turbulence batters the bombers as updrafts throw them hundreds of feet skyward. Over the intercom, one gunner shouts, "It's like flying through hell itself." Below, the streets melt into rivers of fire. Civilians flee toward canals and open fields, clutching children, gasping for air. Japanese firefighters, armed with wooden pumps and buckets, vanish in the smoke. The roar is so loud it drowns out the engines above. By dawn, 16 square miles of Tokyo have vanished. Over 100,000 civilians are dead, more than in Dresden, more than in any single night of the war. For the Imperial General Staff, the destruction is incomprehensible. No foreign army had ever burned the capital since its founding. At 9:30 a.m., in a bunker beneath the Imperial Palace, Prime Minister Kuniaki Koiso stands wordless as aides deliver the first reconnaissance photos. Entire districts reduced to ash. Where was the army? Someone whispers. An officer answers softly. The army is still here. The sky is gone. From that night forward, the Japanese command stops laughing. They begin digging. Civil defense tunnels, aircraft shelters, anti-air batteries. But it is too late. LeMay's bombers return again and again. Nagoya, Osaka, Kobe, each city consumed in turn. The flying fortress had evolved into a weapon beyond imagination, and it now carried not just fire, but a message. The war was no longer distant. It was at their doorstep, and in the corridors of the Imperial Palace, the strategy changes. No longer conquest, no longer glory, only survival. Section 5. The Death of Strategy and the Fall of Pride. July 1945, Tokyo, Japan. The once mighty capital is a skeleton of steel and soot. Roofless temples stare into a grey sky. The air still carries the smell of burned lacquer and ash. What was once laughter in officers' clubs has turned into whispers behind closed doors. The flying fortress, that symbol of American industrial arrogance, has become the sound of doom itself. From the shattered windows of the Imperial General Headquarters, General Yoshijiro Umezu studies a map littered with red circles. Each one marks a city annihilated by B-29 seconds. Tokyo, Nagoya, Kobe, Yokohama, Toyama all flattened. Behind him, aides shuffle nervously as another report is delivered. "Sir, Niigata and Akita were hit last night. Minimal resistance. Estimated casualties. 50,000. Umezu doesn't answer. His eyes drift toward the horizon, where the faint drone of engines grows louder. Even now, after all the destruction, they come. Down below, Tokyo's remaining anti-aircraft guns swivel toward the sound. The crews are mostly teenagers now, boys who once dreamed of flying Zeros. Their uniforms hang loose on starved frames. They fire blindly into the clouds as dozens of silver shapes glide overhead, untouched. The sky flashes. The city trembles again. The irony is bitter. 4 years earlier, Japan's war machine had mocked these American giants as lumbering oxen. Their Zero fighters, agile, almost delicate, were supposed to dance circles around them. But now, the empire that once conquered half of Asia is watching its cities erased by the very thing it once ridiculed. The B-29 seconds have changed more than tactics. They've changed the very shape of war. Where once armies met across trenches and jungles, now entire nations fight from the sky. The fortress, once just a plain, is now a philosophy that victory belongs to those who can reach anywhere, hit anything, and never be caught. On the runway at Tinian, Major Claude Etherly stands beside a newly christened superfortress, Enola Gay. Its bomb bay is fitted with something no one outside the highest circles fully understands. Scientists call it Little Boy. Its power, they whisper, is equal to that of thousands of fortresses combined. August 6th, 1945. Hiroshima. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb bay opens. The city below glitters in the morning Sunday. Then the world becomes white. From 31,000 feet, the crew of Enola Gay watches a column of fire rise higher than any smoke they've ever seen. The shockwave rocks the plane even from miles away. "My God," mutters co-pilot Robert Lewis, "what have we done?" The age of the flying fortress ends not in mockery, nor even in battle, but in awe. By the time Emperor Hirohito's trembling voice speaks over the radio on August 15th, the first time his subjects have ever heard him, Japan's skies are silent. The once laughed at American bombers have turned laughter into surrender. The story of the flying fortress is more than that of an aircraft. It's the story of pride meeting reality, of a nation that believed the sky belonged to it, and another that proved the sky could be conquered. The generals who once laughed would die with that sound still echoing in their minds, the deep, unending drone of the fortress, somewhere high above the clouds.